Patsy, Connie, and loudmouth Linda, keeping it real, no agenda. Satire, truth, and a whole lot of fun. Politics, crime, we get it all done. From breaking news to a joke or two, we do it our way just for you. We just can't make this stuff up. 1 year strong and we ain't gonna stop. Mic in hand, voices loud, shouting truth, making you proud.
Good evening.
Hello, hello, hello.
Who knows the shadow knows?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Clyde, in your own little box.
Yeah,
Hello.
Mama puts me in the box.
You got put in your own box.
That's right.
How's everybody's weekend going? You've been working your tail off, Linda.
Yes, getting the front garden fixed. We got half of the house done. Now we got to do the other half tomorrow.
Awesome. I bet it looks
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, it looks a lot better than it did. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, if you can see where it's looking better, then you know what? The battle's already won, right?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
We worked in the yard too. We now have a hammock in our backyard.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I got in it,
Mhm.
and it wasn't quite right. And it was like, yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I kind of looked like I looked like I was going to fall out any minute. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Guy just was centered in the middle of the hammock.
Wow.
Supposed to be. It was pretty funny. So tell us about what you did to your backyard.
The backyard too.
Yeah, tell us what you did.
We put planters up on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got some more metal figurines coming in from Temu. We
Awesome.
got butterflies and sun and moon. And we got the electricity run for outside. And now we just got to move the cars over so we can set up the patio furniture.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We mowed and swept and
We?
oh well, I swept.
Yes, you did.
I did. I swept. Then I got the leaves. That was a lot of work.
She did
Anyway,
something.
I did do something, by golly, I did it. So here we are on conspiracy night. Dun-dun-dun!
Yep.
And who wants to start it off?
I can, unless Clyde wants to.
No, go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, ladies first.
Aw, aren't you
Aw, there you
so
go.
nice?
That's cool.
Okay, my conspiracy theory, because this is wild. It's about Roswell in 1947.
Mm-hmm.
The government claimed it was some sort of saucer, and then retracted the statement and claimed it was a weather balloon. But all the evidence shows it was neither a flying saucer nor a weather balloon, but instead a top secret military balloon dubbed Project Mogul.
Really?
As it turns out, it describes of the wreckage first reported by the original eyewitnesses very closely match photos of Project Mogul balloons down to the silvery finish and strange symbols on its side. The stories about crashed alien bodies did not surface until decades later, and in fact, no one considered Roswell crash as anything extraterrestrial or No, I lost my place. Shoot.
All right.
Or unusual until 30 years later, there was indeed a cover up, but it did not hide a crashed saucer. Instead, it hid a Cold War era spying program.
So basically, what they're saying is the aliens that were supposedly landed,
Crashed.
yeah, were really not.
Yeah, because that didn't come up for 30 years. But that doesn't make sense because 30 years from 1947 is 1977, and they were saying that back in the 40s or 50s.
Well, and that's funny because my dad was in the Air Force in 56, 57. And so, yeah, I think there's more to it. I think it's a big cover up.
Yeah.
So,
We've been to Roswell.
yeah.
Have you?
We've been to the museum, and it's a lot of fun.
Is it?
Yeah, the whole town set up with street lights that are heads of aliens, and it's really,
Yeah. I want to go.
they have made a lot of money in that town off that.
No,
Well,
I'm
That's
even
their-
the McDonald's has a big alien ship out front.
That's funny.
That's where that town gets its money, is tourists looking for aliens.
Mhm.
Wow.
They've got their own museum there, and that's been a conspiracy for a long time.
Yep. Yep. And now it's even more of a conspiracy because now they're saying it was a weather balloon for a secret project.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to look up. Hi,
Hi,
Donna.
Donna.
I'm going to have to look up and see more about that.
There's a
I
lot of
think it's all a cover up. I think that they landed and they hit it off, and now they're just calling it a weather balloon.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they said they even had a body, right? Clyde, didn't they have that on the newspaper?
Yeah. And they had pictures.
they've got pictures, and they said
Right.
nurses and doctors saw them being brought in, and of course that would have been, I don't know if they reported that right off the bat, or like Lynn saying it, was it 10 years, 20 years down the line that those reports finally started coming out. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. So,
Huh.
but yeah, they said they found bodies.
Wow.
Yeah, they said there was bodies, and they said that they had them entombed.
Well, they were, what they say, the morgue had to come up with little coffins because they thought a bunch of kids had died, and they were just coffins for little aliens, little crates for them.
Hmm.
That was one of the big things about that.
Mhm.
So
Interesting.
I watched way too much on the Roswell crash.
The little gray men. See, they weren't green; they were gray.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they weren't
Right.
like, yeah. They always go the little green Martians. No, they were gray.
Little grays.
Yeah,
Did they
Yeah.
have a restaurant in Roswell?
Oh, it's a whole town.
it's a whole town of nothing but aliens.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's got the main thoroughway through it, just like any small town.
Mhm.
And all the streets and roads that come off it, and restaurants, and
Hmm.
you name it. It's its own little town. I couldn't tell you how many people live there, but
Yeah, I was just wondering if they had like a restaurant where they named the items like outer space names, like
that-
alien names.
I don't know about that.
That we didn't find, but I'll tell you this: every block has T-shirts and memorabilia, and I mean, you can get an alien anything in Roswell. You know? And you know the old-fashioned street lights that come up the black pole, and then it has a big
Uh-huh.
white ball. Yeah, no, it's a great big black pole with an alien head that's green.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
The whole street, block to block, is alien lights.
Wow.
Yeah, they made a fortune off that.
Oh, I bet.
They
I
have.
bet.
They have. And, do you believe it? Do you think? I think there's too much out there for it not to be true.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. My dad was in the Air Force during that time. And when they said that a lot of people were sworn to secrecy and were not allowed to talk about it, my dad would not even talk about it.
Wow.
It was just, if you brought it up, he just changed the subject. So I don't know. Is it real? I don't know. Is it Memorex?
Right.
There's a lot of holes in their theories that they keep trying to cover it up and it's leaking.
Yeah.
And I thought I heard that this year they were going to come out with all of this stuff on that.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Files too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to come out. So we'll see. I guess we'll really find out if it's really true.
Mm-hmm.
The Twilight Zone.
Right.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what is their thing? They go, well, the aliens are coming here to analyze us, but they're so far more advanced than we are.
Right.
So it's more like they're coming to an amusement park.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're so far advanced than us, why would they want to come here in the first place?
They're probing us.
They're what? They're probing us?
Mm.
Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't want to be probed.
What they're doing.
What are they supposed to be doing? Clyde, why are they here?
I don't know.
You haven't talked to them lately?
Well, they're like studying us like animals in a zoo.
Oh, that's not even funny.
Some people,
Look at those guys.
some people believe that's where we came from.
Aliens? I don't believe I came from an alien.
Some of our DNA, how do they say it? The missing link was somehow aliens mingling their DNA with ours.
Yeah.
Because we from this, then all of a sudden we were here. And where did that come from? And
Right.
Okay, so I will go with aliens. I came from an alien before. I will go with I came from a monkey.
Okay.
I have a hard time with Darwin's theory because if we evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys?
Right. Right.
What? Only so many of us got to evolve?
Yeah.
Okay, so you and you get to evolve, and no, you don't.
Right.
No, it just doesn't make any sense.
No.
We are
Right. Yeah, so is it a conspiracy? Do you believe that there were aliens that came upon our earth and looked at us and
they still are.
watched us and crashed and couldn't get home?
I believe there's aliens, yeah.
Do you believe they crashed in Roswell?
Something happened in Roswell.
Yep.
But the
Something
truth,
happened there. We just don't know. And we
right?
Yeah, because it's still a top secret base.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't go anywhere near it.
Files are still closed.
No, and you know what? And it's true. You can't get anywhere close to it.
No.
You can get close to the town, but you can't get close to where all this took place.
Right.
It's all fenced off and
It's crashed on a farm outside of Roswell.
right. But the base that's in Roswell, you can't get there either.
Well, they took everything to the base from the crash site, and then they flew it out to Dallas, and then they flew it up to Ohio or something after that.
See, they flew them everywhere in their own spaceship.
Right.
They fixed the spaceship. We're going to have a conspiracy. Let me make up some more stuff. So they fixed the flying saucer, and everybody got climbed aboard, and they flew it to Dallas, and then they flew. No, come on. I believe in part of it. I do. I believe in. Hi, Missy.
He's got to be the center of it.
They're building a giant tower at Area 51. Benny Johnson just had a vlog on it. Google the map. See, look, there you go, you guys. I mean, are they going to put a lot of money into building something that's not true? I don't know.
I don't know.
It makes you wonder.
They've had sunk billions by now.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we talked about this a couple weeks back, the conspiracy of aliens.
Yeah.
And the world government will try to take over because the fear of aliens coming in is going to take the world government to secure our security.
Right.
Fight them, and they don't have to be real. They just have to make us think they're real.
Right.
Well, see how the aircraft is in Dayton, Ohio. So apparently there was an aircraft, and they have it. I wonder why it didn't stay in Roswell, because they have all of the street lights and all this stuff. Why didn't they just leave it there?
They took it out within a week or so. Everything was gone.
We'll see, something happened then. They're covering
up.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
You know, it's funny what our government hides and covers up and buries so that we can't find it out. And then we find out so much later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got a couple different conspiracies, and I apologize. I don't know the name of the project, but you can Google it and find out, or I can in just a minute. But they had a project in the 50s where this place in Arkansas had a bunch of Black people who had contacted syphilis, right? And so at that time we already had a cure for syphilis. It was penicillin, and so they knew it could be cured. But what they wanted to see was the DNA and the structure of the different what do I want to say? The different people, how their body reacts to syphilis. Anyway, long story short, they were only supposed to do this project for 3 years, and they had 299 who had it and 201 who did not have it. And so they said, we're gonna see what happens the more it goes down and how it changes and what happens to you, right? Yeah. Well, then they extended it for another year, and then they extended it for another year. Well, this project went for 40 years, guys, and the 201 that did not have it ended up with it, and they ended up giving it to their wives and their spouses, and they ended up having children who also had syphilis.
Wow.
So when they decided, they just ended it. Did they give up the cure? No.
Right.
So right now in court, a lot of these children are fighting this still, that they never got paid. They never did any. They just basically, people died, and no one did anything about it. So these children are still fighting in court, trying to get a court date, trying to prove that, hey, our government did this. They allowed this to happen. Yeah. And a lot of people died.
Right.
And like, well, you can bring your evidence when we have the court hearing. They keep putting the court hearing date off, and they keep putting the court date hearing off. They just keep. Eventually, these people, these children that were during that time, will be gone. And And then what? Then there's nothing, there's no evidence, there's nothing left of this
Right.
project. So they
Right.
won't owe anything. And they're covering it and burying it just like they cover and bury everything else. So that
Right.
was one of my conspiracies. It's like, wow, you know, how can you live with yourself knowing that you did this to this bunch of people and,
Right.
and allow it to happen and allow it to happen and
Right.
never make it right,
Right.
because they never made it right. The other thing is, my other one was MK Ultra. Now we all know what MK Ultra was, and everyone, the story that we were told was MK Ultra was trying to learn how to do mind control, but they said what they did is they took people who were addicts off the street, and this is how they would take them and they would give them their drug of choice, and this is how they rewarded them, right? This is the story we heard. Well,
Mhm.
this is not the story. Let me tell you the real story of MK Ultra. So we had prisoners that were released from Korea that we brought home, that their minds were all messed up, and our government was like, what's going on? How did they do this? How could they do this? How could they mind control these people? So our wonderful government felt like, you know what, we could not, we were behind the times. We need to figure out exactly how to control the mind. And so this is where MK Ultra came in. And yes, they did start with addicts in the streets, but then you know what our government did? They hired hookers. Okay, they hired a bunch of hookers to go and stand on the corner, and then when they would pick up their pick up a John or whatever, and they would take them back to this hotel where the MK Ultra factory was at, and they would do it on these men that these hookers would pick up. So these hookers were basically just employees, because they weren't doing it to the hookers. They were doing it to the men they found in the streets that they would bring back to the hotel. And then they started throwing these lavish parties at these bars. And then everybody would go out and they would pull in their people, right? Then what happened? Then they would lace their drinks. And this is what they would do. They would do this to these people. And not only did they did shock treatment, they did they put things on their head and with wave control, other than shock, but it's like wave control. It was crazy. And they did this from the late 50s. They did from the late 50s to 74, and they said they stopped in 74. That was the story. They stopped in 74. Right. Now, do I believe that they really stopped, or do I think they probably further advanced themselves?
I think they further advanced themselves.
That's what I think too. I really don't think that they're done. I don't think they've been done. I think they're still doing mind control and doing different things. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think they are still doing it too.
You know, once you control the mind, you have basic control over everything.
And we know they have the technology.
Well, sure they do.
So,
sure they do. And what is our outcome? We just want to make a whole lot of robots. Is that what we're after?
I don't know what the end game is supposed to be.
I mean, why would you want? There's a lot of other things that I think that we should be investing in instead of how to control the people. I think we should be doing a lot of. I mean, let's Let's have our own medicine factories.
Right.
For our money there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I just think that that's a waste of money, and I think that it hurts a lot of people, and I just don't think that it's worth all of that. That's my own personal opinion.
Right.
So, yeah, those are my conspiracy theories. It's kind of shocking,
Yeah.
totally shocking. So, Clyde, what is yours? And then we can talk about all of them.
Well, it kind of came up the other morning. Whatever happened about Fort Knox? We were going to go into Fort Knox and find out if all the gold was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to dig anything on Fort Knox. You really can't find anything on it. I mean, it's who were the last people, to really go in there, and they were showing the old turtle himself, Mitch McConnell, in 2017 went in there with, back then that was Steve Mnuchin, who was the Treasury Secretary under Trump. And they have pictures of them inside, supposedly inside Fort Knox. But the pictures are taken with like some granulated black and white, horrible pictures that you can't even tell if it's actually gold or what they're holding. It's like technology today, even the cheapest cell phone takes better pictures than that.
Yeah.
It's, why would they have these two pictures? And there was only two pictures that they would come up with. But they've said if anytime they want to do an audit, they can do an audit on Fort Knox. But who goes in and does it? Is it independent audit? Is it Doge audit?
Right.
I don't think so. It's I don't know. Is the gold still there? That's always been the question. Is the gold still there? And you try to go down that looking for reports on it, but a lot of times everything you find out is how Fort Knox was built, why was it built, where is it built, how much, how heavy the door is that closes the vault. Those are the things they keep talking about. But there's nothing you can really find on anything that says nobody knows if the gold is even there or not, other than a couple people that have been there and say, "Yep, I've touched it," but it's a black and white picture, and it just, I don't know. I say it's there, but it's hard.
Who knows?
Right.
You just don't know. You just don't know. It's too much secrecy for one place to be. And they said it's a third of the United States wealth or something like that. It's not all its wealth. It's only a third or something of what we have in wealth in this country, as far as gold being held there. So there's more gold in other places being held, but Fort Knox holds a third of it. So I don't know where's the other 2/3.
Right.
Or they even worry about holding that much gold in other places? Who knows?
What's the big to do about Fort Knox if it's only holding a third of the wealth?
Yeah,
Right.
Why is that so big?
There's got to be something else in there. Something else is going on in Fort Knox. And then they have 2 electric fences, and then there's a minefield in the grass around Fort Knox. And all the little chat things were, well, how do they mow the lawn if there's a minefield?
Right.
It's like,
Well, there's a question, right? How?
I mean,
There's good.
is
Right.
it electronic minefield? They can turn it off and turn it on. It's just weird.
That
It's
is weird.
Or do they just put that out there so that they can scare people?
Yeah.
So that they think that it's being well protected. My thing is, what is Fort Knox made of? Do we even know? I mean, why is it such a? What
They
makes
showed
it so
construction
secure? I guess that's
of it is it's concrete walls. It's a massive fort. And
but it can be blown up, right?
well, if it was hit with the right bomb, yeah, anything can be.
Hi, Whoopi. No, you're not late. You're just on. You're right on time.
Hi, Wolfie.
Well, I mean, so are the walls in Fort Knox like so thick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
then you get through that, then you still can't get into the vault. And the vault is a whole nother layer of protection.
So what is it made of? Titanium?
I don't know. But I guess the door vault itself is like 21, 22 inches thick. And no single one person has the code to get in. It takes two people to open up the doors. It's pretty intense. I don't know. It's there's a lot of secrecy behind storing gold.
Right.
And who has those codes? That's what I want to know.
Well, there's a couple people there that have it.
Who?
I don't know. They got to be employees of the government to have it.
Is there employees
It's probably
in
best
Fort Knox?
that nobody knows who it is. Because that's something you would go advertise. What is your job? Well, I hold the code
Fort Knox.
to Fort Knox. Well, he would be taken hostage pretty quick, I would think.
Well, if he says hello, Clyde.
Hello.
I waved.
So you can put on your resume, hi, I worked at Fort Knox.
Right.
I mean, do they even clean the interior of Fort Knox?
Sure, they got people that do that.
You think?
Oh yeah.
Or you think they just close it up and nobody ever goes in there?
Well, there's got to be movement.
I think it's much bigger than we're thinking it is.
It's on a military base, so I mean it's well protected.
Yeah.
People go in and out. It's just a matter of who has access, and I don't know. It's a weird thing.
I thought Trump and Musk were going to go in there.
Well, they got a lot of work to do, and it's probably not on their priority list. But
yeah,
I would like to think in maybe 3.5 years, we could get to the bottom of what the heck's going on in Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Is the gold because they've been talking about revaluing gold, putting what's gold actually worth, and it's, I mean, would it be worth more or less?
It sure is up in the stock market recently. It's climbing.
How that was another thing I started jumping into was the stock market, and not so much a conspiracy, but how these big hedge funds manipulate the stock market. And us little guys down here, we're set up to lose, and they make sure that we might have money in the 401, and we work our ass off for all these years to make something that we can have when we actually try to retire, if we ever can. And they go in and they manipulate the stock market with $5 million, $10 million to make 20. And it's insane. And we're not even pawns. We're the dust on the pawns. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's insane. So.
Well, they don't want us. The thing is all the people that are making all the money. I mean, Elon Musk has been saying, hey, you know what? They're diving into, I just heard they're diving into unemployment, and they're finding fraud in unemployment. And I'm like, I think the more they dive, they're going to find there's fraud in everything.
Yeah.
So far, there's been fraud in everything.
If there's money, there's a slush fund, and somebody's got their hands in it.
Yeah.
Always. And they said, I guess Chuck Schumer made a comment, and Elon Musk said, you know what, Chuck, you need to be quiet. And I'm like, what do you know? Right. I think you know a heck of a lot more than you're telling us.
Right.
But yeah, they're saying that people are collecting unemployment that shouldn't be collecting unemployment. And just like people are collecting Social Security and they're not supposed to be collecting Social Security, you got your 350-year-old person that's collecting Social Security.
Well, I had heard that there's an outrageous amount of people, between the ages of 1 and 5 that's collecting unemployment.
Yeah. Yeah.
1-year-old and 5. They're not even old enough to work.
Between the ages of 1 and 5, they're finding a boatload that's getting unemployment.
Wow. And they're not even old enough to work.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and then the people that really do lose their job, that really do need to collect unemployment, can't collect it because they always fight it. They say, no, you can't collect unemployment, and they'll fight your unemployment because they say that the company has to pay more money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, how come the companies aren't going forward and saying, hey, you know what? They're using my money.
Yeah.
They're taking
Yeah.
our money.
You own a business and you pay into unemployment as a business owner.
Right?
You know, it's like an insurance policy. You pay into it.
Right.
So if you've got a 1-year-old collecting unemployment from you that's never worked for you, how does that work? I mean, do these people get a paper saying who's collecting unemployment or who has collected unemployment? I don't think they do they?
I don't know. I know they must keep track of it somehow because you can only get so many weeks and so many years, and
Well,
so
if one person can come up with a way of stealing, you know, $2,000 from this one and $2,000 from this one, and
Mhm.
you know, after a month's end, they can make a living doing that. You know, and making up
Mhm.
fraudulent claims, and
Right.
you know,
Well,
it's
and you wonder how these guys are becoming so rich.
mhm.
Right.
You know, I mean, how does AOC at 36 years old, that's only been in office for what? Is she going on her second term? So she's been there 6 years, worth $22 million.
She's got to have a house in New York, and she's got to have a house in DC, and
Mhm.
She's worth $22 million.
Wow.
How does that work on a $200,000? And I don't even think she makes 200,000.
Right.
I think it's probably more like 150 or 170,000. Not that that's a big difference,
she's
but I
an
mean,
idiot, is what she is. That woman is a piece of crap. But I don't know how anybody can follow her and listen to her and think that she even has half a brain.
Right.
I've seen some interviews with her, and she's just so she's as bad as Kamala Harris, and just a deer in the headlight look. You know, I
well,
think
that word salad.
was a lawyer, wasn't she, at one point?
No,
Well, she was Attorney General, so she had to have been some type of an attorney.
oh, you're talking about Kamala? Yeah, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
But AOC's
Had
not.
to have some type of brain, but I think it got swallowed up somewhere with.
Wasn't it AOC that was a bartender?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
was a bartender.
She's a bartender.
And you know, the funny thing is,
I had nothing against bartenders. Okay, they have to be smart. They have to think on their feet. They got to be quick, you know. And they're not all bartenders are created equal. Some are better than others. But I mean, come on. And she goes from that to being in the House, you know, working in the House and Congress, and everybody's taking her word. And you know, that she could be president. Are you kidding me?
Right.
You know, it's like.
well, how about this one? Okay, so I listened to this guy. He's a big chef in California, right? And he owns this restaurant in California. And he was saying that what Gavin Newsom wants to do is make minimum wage $20 an hour, right?
Right.
This is even people that work fast food will make $20 an hour. Well, the business owners on these fast food places have said, you know what? Listen, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a kiosk and I won't have to hire as many people, right? So, I mean, if you make it $20 an hour, I'll still be able to make my business work with this kiosk and pay these people $20 an hour.
Right.
Well, now California is making these business owners hire 2 people per kiosk to help run the kiosk.
Mm.
Well, these business owners aren't going to be able to afford to
Right.
hire somebody that's going to stand around at the kiosk and get paid $20 an hour.
Well, that's $80 an hour. If you figure 2 on each kiosk.
Right. Right. So figure that, right? And then
To deliver fast food.
yeah, well, it even gets better, guys. And I didn't realize this. So if you have because you triggered it with bartending. So the bartenders, right, would be making minimum wage, which is $20 an hour plus tips, right?
Mhm.
So he said, if these bartenders get good tips, that puts some of these guys up to $80 an hour
Oh, yeah.
plus tips, right? And he said, and I don't pay on their $20. I have to pay on their $80 an hour
Mm.
because they have to claim their tips.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, I've got to pay taxes on them making $80 an hour. And he said, we can't do this. As small business owners can't pay on these $80 an hour jobs.
Right.
And I was kind of shocked on it. I thought, wow, I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Tips should be totally separate. Whatever they get should be totally separate. They shouldn't have to claim them. The owners of the business shouldn't have to claim them tips. I don't think. That's over and above. They're not
Well,
paying.
even the waitresses don't have to claim them anymore. No
Yeah.
tax.
Wow. Yeah, no, the waitresses aren't going to have to pay taxes on the tips anymore.
Right.
Yeah, they said that, which is nice. That's a good thing. And so that would put your bartenders in there too, or they shouldn't have to pay on their tips. But I don't think that the business owners should have to pay on those tips either. And they're
No.
saying they have to pay on them.
No, I don't think so either.
I know, right? Wolfie, get him, Cujo. I tell you what, Benny weighs probably soaking wet a big whopping 6 or 7 pounds, and he thinks he is Cujo. He's something else again. He thinks he's a Great Dane. But, that's usually those little small dogs. They're the first to throw a big fit.
The wind was blowing outside, and they heard something blowing, so they had they're outside now. So.
And we have to watch them really close because we have great big birds that fly around over here. And he thinks he's Cujo, but when these birds come flying down, he's not going to be Cujo very long.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I, as an individual, don't even think about, as far as the owner of a business. I don't think about anybody having to pay on the bartender's tips or the
Right.
waitress tips.
Working with the public every day, I hear a lot of people talking about the tariffs and Trump's tariffs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, I don't care about these tariffs. It's time we got our country back. We have to reset the trade on the world to get our country. And yeah, we're going to feel a sting. We're going to feel a bite more than likely somewhere down the line. My job, 90% of what we get comes from China that comes into our store that we sell.
Yep, I was thinking about that. The optical industry,
Yeah.
a lot of your frames are made in China.
They're designed in Italy, they're designed in Germany, but they are made in China. And there's some that are made in Italy, Austria. You got a couple brands that are made here in the US, but primarily
It's China.
it's made in China. And you can have frames made in America, but they get their cases from China. Nothing is completely
Right.
ever completely made here in America anymore. It's
Right.
insane, and we got to get that manufacturing back to here. And
Right.
somehow, it's either going to cost us a fortune, or it's hard to say what's going to happen. Is the price going to get added into me to where I'm going to start seeing these frame costs come in that is going to double what my cost is, or it's going to jump it up, 20%. And
Right.
how much can I actually push a cost up that's already, I feel is too high already on these people? But
Well, and another thing you got to stop and think, China has child labor. So, I mean, they're not paying these kids very much to do what they've got to do. So they can afford to send it out for 2 cents or whatever.
Right.
But a lot of our stuff is made in China. And the outlook on all these other countries is America is rich. They're
Right.
rich in America. They're
Right.
rich in America. Well, you know what, guys? We're not any different just because we're bigger. We're not any different than they are. And if
we're
we
not
could,
richer.
no, we're not richer. We need to make it even across the board. That's
Our middle class is just
we're not asking much.
going away. It's the rich and it's the poor. And
Yep.
the middle class is being demolished. The
Yep.
American dream of having a wife and kids and a dog and a house is going away fast.
It's fading.
And we might be the last generation that actually had hopes of it, because I don't think our kids even have it. And if our kids have kids, if we can't capture it now, I can't see a good future in the American dream.
It's
Yeah.
a very much of a struggle. I mean, look at my son, Earl. I mean, and here's something that has us all puzzled is that he had his taxes done and they could add Ellie Mae on this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a huge tax credit, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He has to pay $300.
How does that work?
Still didn't pay in enough.
That doesn't make any sense at all. And don't they still have the child credit? No.
Well,
still-
credit went up.
They should be able to get a pretty good one with the child credit. I knew a bunch of people that were getting lots of money back because they had the
Exactly.
child.
That's what he said. He says everybody else gets, $3,000-$4,000 back.
Yeah.
Me, I gotta pay.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, and it's not like he doesn't make $100,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? It's not like
Right.
he makes a lot of money. I mean, shit, he doesn't even make $70,000 a year.
See, and that's considered. They were saying anybody who made under 100,000, wasn't it? A household that made under 100,000, we're supposed to get all these tax credits and all this stuff.
Right.
Well, we're way below that.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. Something's really out there, and they couldn't take off the littlest one.
Well, no, not yet, because he was just born at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but still, he would be considered still a dependent.
Not last year.
Not for the
Oh, you're right. I didn't think about that. I forget that we're a year behind.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Next
you know
year
what
you
they
can take him off your taxes. Have more kids.
well that doesn't do, because look what's going on here. It's not helping you out unless you can take off babysitting. Okay, we can talk about that. You can take off your babysitting fees off your taxes, but when you pay a babysitter right now, you're working for free because babysitting costs a fortune.
Right, exactly.
So at that point, there's no reason to even work.
Right.
Because you're going to work for gas to get there and your babysitting fees.
Right. Actually,
So-
that happened. I was working when I got married the second time. I was
Mhm.
working. And by the time we paid for daycare, my lunch, and the gas back and forth to the daycare and then back to my job, because I had to go past my job to drop my son off and then go all the way back to go back to work. And I had to do it twice a day. And we figured out it was cheaper for me to stay at home than for me to be working.
Wow. See, That's crazy.
Yep.
I know, and I know babysitters, and if they're the younger they are, the more expensive they are.
And we're talking 39 years ago. So what is it?
You can just imagine what it is now. It's astronomical,
Mm-hmm.
totally astronomical. Whoopi, are you still in the chat? I want to know if you got your hat because Royal Apple sent me pictures. She got her hat. She got pictures. Sent me pictures of everybody trying them on. It was cute. It was cute. She looked cute. And then we were going to do a trivia tonight. So I don't know who all's in here tonight, but we were going to do a trivia.
It looks like
for a t-shirt. So I guess we can ask the question, and whoever comes up with the right answer, the answer fast enough, will get the t-shirt. And if you're on the replay crew, the first person to leave it in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Whoopi hasn't checked her mail yet. Well, it's out there, Whoopi. So who wants to ask the question for the
I
t-shirt?
don't care. You can go ahead.
Okay. In the movie Grease, it was, let's see, it was Danny. Wasn't it Danny?
What actor?
Yeah, what actor played Danny in the movie Grease?
It's for a t-shirt.
It's for a t-shirt.
We'll give
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? There are a few there that lag. They're like about 20 seconds or something behind us.
Mm,
That's why we don't get the answer real quick.
right.
Yeah, look at Wolfie got it.
Wolfie got it.
Wolfie got it. Wolfie, you need to send me an email. Again, I've got your address, but tell me what size you need so I know which size to send.
Or just put it in the chat.
Oh yeah, you can just put it in the chat. It doesn't matter, so I can get it out to you. I've got some more coming too. So I loved that movie too. That was one of my favorite movies. So, Whoopi, what size t-shirt do you wear so I know to send you what size t-shirt to send you? The biggest one you got. Okay, well, I've got, if you can wait a little while, I've got 3X's coming. So, I mean, how big do you want? I got some big ones. That's a big shirt, 3X.
It's huge.
That's a big shirt. But we got some men that are pretty good, big, that would be wearing that size. 2X. Okay, well, I've got a 2X coming, so it's gonna take me a little while to get it off to you, but I will get it off to you as soon as I get it. I've got some ordered because I got extra large and large. So I will get your 2X off to you. You're one of those well-endowed people, the gifted people. Clyde, you're not one of those gifted people, Clyde.
Nope.
Yeah, I've got some coming, so I will get it. I will get it off to you as soon as it gets here. That's funny. That's too funny. Yay! Remember I Am Sam? Did anyone ever see that movie I Am Sam with Sean Penn?
I don't remember.
Oh my God, it was awesome. And he played an autistic guy. Sam did.
Oh, I think so.
And he goes,
Was he autistic or just retarded?
he named his baby Lucy because Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Anyway, my niece used to go through the grocery store doing that. Stop.
Yeah.
Goofy girl. All right. Well, it's about that time, guys.
It was a good evening. It was a good evening.
Evening. It's fun. I dive into these conspiracy theories, and I just think to myself, "Oh my gosh, this really happened."
Right.
And not let's throw dirt on it so nobody finds out about it.
Right.
Whoopi said, "Sorry, Clyde, you're not big enough. You're not big boy.
I'm just a little guy.
You're just a little guy."
No.
All right. It's all right. We can all come in different sizes. That's the beauty of America, right?
Right.
Well, speaking
All
of,
right.
before we get off here real quick because we got 4 minutes, but I was, yay, you got a shirt. You did.
The first one too.
The very first shirt to go out. You got it. So, the governor's mansion in Philadelphia, or not in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, had an attack, and they tried to set it on fire. And Josh Shapiro was asleep, and his family was asleep on the second floor, and it took the fire department to bang on the door to wake them up to get them out. I would be checking my fire alarms if I were in that house. You know, if it took the fire department to bang on my door to wake me up, their fire alarms aren't working there.
Yeah.
And now they've got a $10,000 reward for anyone, for the prosecution of the person that did this, if anyone has any information. Well, but the cameras didn't work either. Just saying. You better check your cameras too.
Right.
There's a lot of things in that house that ain't working right. That's crazy. That's crazy. That happened at 2:00 this morning. All right, y'all. I love you.
Good night.
You guys have a great evening, and we will see you tomorrow with this just a chit chat and what we have to cover.
Good night, Kai. Good night, Clyde.
Good night, Linda. Good night, Clyde. Good night, Whoopi. Good night.
Good night, Whoopi. Good night, Donna.